All right, so we now have a lot of our items spawned here. Let's go and let's set up the timer here. So in order to do that, we need to go and we need to set up the timer that will make this work here. So the timer is going to set up the collectible spawning. So let's add a function. We'll call this timer spawn collectibles, right? And in a timer, we need a wait. So we'll say skaction.wait for duration, and we'll wait we have this time collectible spawn. So we've set that up at the top. If you remember, there's a variable here. You can set that to any number you wish. All right. Then we'll say let's spawn is equal to skaction dot run block. And within that run block, we're going to say self dot spawn collectible. So we're going to spawn the collectible. Let's put this in a sequence. We'll make that equal to skaction dot sequence. And we're going to say wait, then comma spawn. Wait, then spawn. That's all it's going to do. Then we're going to go to self.runAction. We're going to go to skaction.repeat action forever. And we're going to repeat the sequence forever. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We have to go, and before we run it, we'll say timer spawn collectibles. We have to call that function at the beginning or else it won't work. So if we look at this here, yeah, look at that. We have these nice collectibles here. And that's actually pretty good. I do like that. And you can see that, the top Y is being set, kind of around here. Now, if we want to, we can raise that number. For example, time collectible spawn, we can make it a lot more. And the collectible size is a bit too small. Let's make it 20 by 20. Right? And you can go and play around with these figures if you want, but for the most part, let's take a look at that here. So, yeah, that's starting to look pretty good. Okay, and so you can see that the bottom isn't being set up here, and the top isn't being set up. So we have kind of two areas here. Now, what we can do is if we go to the spawn collectible here, we can make the random Y a little bit more, like 550, and that way it will be we'll be spawning a little bit closer to the top. All right, and there you go. Okay, so you can see that they're being spawned up there. All right, so there you go. You now have your spawning collectibles here. Now, what we need to do is we need to have this player kind of move around. Okay. And let's go and let's do that right now. So let's go into our override function touches began, and we're going to set this location here to touch location, and that way we can set it to touch location here. Okay, so in this we need two items here. We're going to say rotate player, okay, and then we're going to add in another function here. We'll say move player to touch. Okay. So in this touches here, we're going to rotate the player, and then we're going to move player to touch. What this is going to do is it's going to rotate it first and then move it to touch. Now we could technically put this all in one function if we wanted to. And doing that isn't necessarily a bad idea. But in this case, you could have a game where you only want to rotate the player or you only want to move it to touch. And that's why I'm putting it into two different items here. So the rotate to player involves a little bit of math. So let's do that first, okay? So we'll say this rotate player, we'll say let angle is equal to atan2, okay? atan2 bracket and atan2, and we want this here to say atan2, and we're going to say touch location exclamation point dot y, and this is where things get a little bit weird. So we got touch location dot y subtracted from player dot position dot y. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add that in here, and then we're going to say touch location dot x and dot x, and we're going to subtract that from the touch location dot x minus the player dot position dot x. All right, and we want to make sure that there is nothing but exclamation points. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we're going to say player dot z rotation is equal to angle subtracted from CG float, and within the CG float, we're going to say M, capital M underscore, and you have to use the right pi. So we say we got M, in this case, it's M pi, M underscore pi, and then we're going to say 2. Now, all this is going to do is that this is going to allow us to rotate the player to the touch here. Now, let's move the player to touch. In this case, we need to use actions. So we'll say let move forward. Okay, and remember, we're setting up the rotation first, and then we have the player move forward. So let move forward is equal to skaction.move. Okay, and this says move to. Okay, and the move to location is going to be touch location dot x, and within this move to, we actually need a CG point, and we need the touch location dot x, touch location dot x, and then touch location dot y. And the ns time interval is how fast the player is going to move. So we're going to say player speed. We set up that variable in the first tutorial here, okay? And so it's asking you to add in a couple of fixes, and you're more than welcome to do that if you wish. Okay, we're going to say let sequence is equal to skaction.sequence, and we're just going to add in the move forward. Now, you're probably wondering, do we actually need a sequence here? Well, there might be more actions that you want to do. There might be more actions that you want to do if you add that in here. So by adding in a sequence, it's easy to add in functionality later. All right, then we need to go to player dot run action. Player, not self. Player dot run action. We're going to be skaction dot repeat action forever. Or repeat action, not forever, but we're going to repeat the sequence a total of 1 time. So for each time you touch, it will repeat that sequence here, okay? Wow, that was a lot of talking, but essentially that's how you do it there, okay? So the hardest part was this math problem here with the angle here, and even if you're using a different engine, that code is somewhere in the back end. So in SpriteKit, you usually have to set up everything by yourself, like in this case. This concludes the tutorial.